If I said that Kody Brown, the former proud patriarch of sister wives, is now embroiled in a brutal battle in the courts, not with unknowns, not with external actors, but with his own former wives, yes, the very same women who once stood beside him, are now dragging him to courtrooms, calling for answers, justice, and revenge. But at the center of this disintegrating empire stands Robyn Brown, the now traditionally constructed favorite wife, no longer protected from the devastation. In fact, she's now sitting next to Kody, enduring the same court shaming, legal charges, and public outrage. The walls they constructed to defend themselves, they're crumbling quickly, brick by brick. For years, Kody and Robyn carefully crafted an image of themselves as the stable, responsible couple within the Brown family. On camera, they presented themselves as the ones who made smart choices, managed finances, and kept the family afloat. But behind the scenes, the reality was far from glamorous. Their so-called responsible management was supposedly a series of clandestine property transfers, shell games, and maneuvers that kept the rest of Kody's wives, Christine, Meri, and Janelle, out in the cold. And now, the courts are finally holding them accountable. This is not some petty domestic dispute. This is an outright legal war, and the accusations span from property fraud to asset hiding, and even to financial fraud. Kody and Robyn's dynasty, which they thought was invincible, now hangs in tatters courtesy of court orders, legal restraining orders, and a tsunami of public outcry. It began to disintegrate when Christine Brown had had enough. After years of emotional favoritism and neglect, Christine bid the family adieu in 2021. But she didn't quietly slip away. She was laying the foundation for what would be a mountain of legal complaints. Christine's leave wasn't merely personal. It was financial. She parted with her portion of the family's coveted Coyote Pass property to Kody and Robyn for symbolic $10. Then people believed that it was Christine's way of distancing herself, but behind the scene, insiders indicate that it was a strategic move to create legal leverage. What Christine did next turned the entire family dynamic on its head. In September 2024, she sent a legal bombshell through the family by filing for child support for her daughter, truly paternity establishment, and most significantly, a domestic relations injunction. That injunction wasn't a mere legal technicality, it was a calculated power move. It froze Kody's power to sell, conceal, or transfer family assets without court approval. And that's when things got ugly. Kody and Robyn, who had been secretly scheming to bring family properties together into their own hands, were stopped in their tracks. Christine's lawsuit uncovered their backroom maneuverings to control property. What was meant to be a seamless move into their new family arrangement turned into a courtroom spectacle that the world was witnessing. But Christine wasn't going at it alone. Meri and Janelle, similarly having survived years of being pushed to the side, knew that if they didn't do something, everything would be gone. By early 2025, both of the women had lawyered up, blaming Kody for sneaking around shuffling property documents, benefiting Robyn, and deliberately pushing them out of their rightful possession. The notorious Coyote Pass land, once a representation of their family's cohesion, was at the center of a raging legal battle. The courts were prompt in stepping in. The judges instructed Kody to evenly redistribute ownership of the land, compelling him to return critical tracts of land to Meri and Janelle. It was not just a victory on paper, it was public humiliation. For a man who had constructed his sense of identity around being the head of a large, cohesive family, being compelled to legally split up assets he had vowed to share was shattering. But Kody and Robyn didn't let that stop them. Even though the court had frozen assets, they proceeded to buy a $2.1 million Flagstaff mansion. They sold their old home for $1.7 million, made a substantial profit, and invested $420,000 as a down payment on the new house. The balance? Kody financed a whopping $1.68 million loan. The catch? This transaction occurred after the court injunction was issued. When court papers became public, it was evident that Kody and Robyn attempted to bypass judicial orders, ramming through a high-ticket real estate acquisition, while under judicial scrutiny. Judges weren't amused. Kody was charged with contempt of court and asset concealment, and for the first time Robyn found herself in the judicial limelight. Robyn, once characterized as the introverted, quiet wife, was now officially court-shamed. Judges charged her with deceptive financial statements, endorsing checks intended to keep Kody's former wives and kids out of the picture. The public image of Robyn as the pure favorite wife crumbled as court documents created a much uglier picture of her role. Media coverage went into overdrive. News headlines blared about Kody and Robyn's mansion scandal and the empire collapsing. Social media became brutal, with hashtags such as #Kody on trial and #Robyn exposed taking over timelines. Fans who were once in awe of their lifestyle now saw a couple driven by greed, manipulation, and an unquenchable desire to control. And to make matters worse, Kody and Robyn's mansion, their supposed dream home, also became a downfall symbol. Once dreamed to be a life of luxury safe haven, the property now lies frozen, embroiled in court proceedings, with no avenue of escape in sight. While that was happening, Christine, Meri and Janelle reversed the trend. No longer the peripheral wives in a polygamous pecking order, they are now women empowered, taking back their stories and standing up for what they are owed. Their wins in the courts have not only altered the money game within the Brown family, but have also won them huge public sympathy. Kody, meanwhile, is confronting the ugly reality of his failing legacy. His image, once constructed on ideals of family harmony and leadership, now stands for court losses, humiliation in the public eye, and a broken family that cares nothing for him. And this is only the start. In the upcoming segments, we'll dive deeper into Christine's legal bombshell that stopped Kody in his tracks, the fierce land war with Meri and Janelle, and how Kody and Robyn's $2.1 million mansion became the transaction that exposed them to the world. Kody and Robyn's carefully crafted empire isn't just cracking, it's collapsing in front of millions. And this time, there's no TV edit that can hide the truth. When Christine Brown walked away from Kody in 2021, fans thought the worst was over. After all, they had seen Kody dismiss her concerns for years, belittle her feelings, and prioritize Robyn at every turn. Christine's departure was supposed to be a quiet exit, a woman reclaiming her life after decades of being sidelined. But Christine wasn't leaving emotionally. She had something much greater in the works, something that would rock Kody Brown's dynasty to its core. Christine laid a legal bombshell in September 2024 that Kody Brown never anticipated. She requested child support, asked for paternity establishment on their youngest daughter Truly, and most crushingly of all petitioned for a financial injunction against Kody Brown. Now for the non-legal set, an injunction may seem like just another court order, but it's not. It's a legal sledgehammer. A financial injunction freezes assets, locks up properties, and prevents anyone, yes, even Kody Brown, from transferring, selling, or concealing family assets while the courts sort out who owns what. Christine was well aware of what Kody and Robyn were planning. They had been secretly setting up to transfer family properties and lands into their own names, leaving Christine, Meri, and Janelle out of any future ownership. She had noticed it coming. Kody's manipulation pattern wasn't new, but this time Christine wasn't going to sit back and allow it. This was not simply a fight for child support. It was not even about money at all. It was a war declaration against Kody's decades of domination and favoritism. Christine's injunction brought Kody up short. He could no longer quietly shuffle assets. Every purchase, every real estate decision was now subject to court approval. For Kody, this was a nightmare. He had constructed his whole persona on being the head of the family, the one responsible for every decision, large or small. But now, he was treated like any other defendant in a courtroom and denied the authority that had been his for so long. And the worst of it? Christine wasn't doing this behind closed doors. The court documents were open to the public, the press got wind of it, and now Kody's neatly constructed image of a dignified polygamous patriarch was being shredded for all to behold. Christine's courtroom action was aggressive, but it was not rash. She had spent years observing Kody's money game. She had witnessed the under-the-table property transaction, the whispered side conversations that always concluded with Robyn getting something, while the other wives were left with promises of nothing. She observed the family money being diverted into Robyn's huge house purchases, while Janelle and Meri were left hanging in limbo, living in rentals and motorhomes. Christine played clever. The injunction not only froze Kody's personal accounts, but also put a legal hold on Coyote Pass, the notorious land that was the Brown family's supposed joint dream property. That meant Kody could no longer sell, refinance, or change the land's ownership without court permission. Christine had effectively handcuffed Kody's empire, and the court didn't hesitate to rule in her favor. The judge declared Christine's objections legitimate. The facts revealed a series of asset switching that could not be dismissed. Kody's efforts to frame the problem as a family misunderstanding were dismissed in court. The judge's message was unmistakable. This court finds a purposeful attempt to change ownership arrangements that would disenfranchise other family members. For the first time, Kody had to endure legal ramifications for his action. The patriarch who formerly ruled over how properties were split, where one would live, and who held control over the family's bank accounts, now had to respond to court orders. His aggravation was palpable. Insiders revealed that Kody was fuming behind the scenes, accusing Christine of breaking the family's harmony. But in truth, it wasn't Christine who broke the harmony. It was Kody's years of manipulation, preferential treatment, and backdoor secrets that brought them here. Robyn, as well, couldn't avoid the brunt. Court files showed Robyn had signed off on various real estate choices, including papers meant to transfer title from joint family surnames to private names in her and Kody's favor. Robyn attempted to keep up appearances as the peacemaker, but the evidence wouldn't let her get away. She was not an innocent onlooker, she played a part. Public outrage was immediate and intense. Fans who had seen Christine suffer years of emotional abuse rallied around her. Twitter exploded with the likes of #ChristineFightsBack and #CodyExposed. Viewers swamped online forums, analyzing court papers and applauding Christine's bravery. She wasn't fighting for herself, she was fighting for every wife who'd been marginalized in Kody's kingdom. And Christine wasn't finished. Now with the injunction pending, she started demanding a complete financial audit of the assets of the family. She wanted full disclosure of where the money from the family had ended up, how properties were purchased, and who actually owned what. This put Kody and Robyn in an even tighter legal corner. They could no longer pretend that they did not know. Every checkbook, every loan, every title transfer came under question. The court battle also encouraged Meri and Janelle to act. Witnessing Christine's victory in court emboldened them to resist Kody's efforts to quietly exclude them from owning property as well. Months later, Meri and Janelle pursued their own court grievances, culminating in the Coyote Pass land war that further pinned Kody and Robyn against the wall. But don't be fooled. Christine was the spark. Her choice to confront Kody in court changed the whole family narrative. What had been a tale of one woman's departure from a polygamous marriage had become a public accounting of financial abuse and manipulation in a once vaunted family. Christine had accomplished what everyone believed was impossible. She took Kody's empire down with the might of the law. For Kody, this was a breaking down on all fronts. His patriarchal authority was broken. His power to manage the narrative on TV and social media was lost. The courtroom, with its hard facts and unshakable proof, became the venue where Kody's years of manipulations were at last uncovered. Christine's legal bombshell was not merely a court case, it was a declaration. It announced that the era of Kody's untrammeled rule was at an end. It marked a new dawn when the wives who had been gagged for years were now speaking out. With the support of legal systems that could not be easily dissuaded by Kody's charm and apologetics. And the court ruling in favor of Christine wasn't a victory for her alone. It was a triumph for Meri, for Janelle, and even the children who had witnessed the family's dysfunction. It showed that manipulation, however entrenched, can be upended. That legal justice can cut through the mask of reality TV stardom and exact accountability where it's needed. While Kody spent time in court, being served with injunctions, audits, and public shaming, Christine proudly walked out, her head held high. Not only as Kody's former wife, but as the woman who at last stood up and said, "Enough." And this courtroom win. It was merely the start. As Christine was waging her legal battle in Utah, a different but equally intense war was being fought in Arizona. It wasn't over child support or monetary injunction. This was over Coyote Pass, the large piece of land Kody Brown had assured would be the family's forever compound. But what had been a dream of togetherness had become a war zone of betrayal. Let's go back to 2018. Kody brought together his 4 wives, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, around Coyote Pass master plan. He spoke of having each wife in her own individual custom-built house on shared property. They were to grow old together, the children around them, creating a legacy that would last longer than they did. For an instant, the Brown family was unanimous in that dream. But flash forward to 2024. and that dream had morphed into a legal nightmare. Christine, tired of Kody's favoritism and manipulation, had already sold her interest in Coyote Pass to Kody and Robyn for a shocking $10. Viewers were surprised. Why would Christine basically give away her slice of the family's most precious asset? But those who knew her realized it was Christine's way of cutting loose, making a fresh start from the bad dynamic, while strategically revving up her legal clout elsewhere. Meri and Janelle, however, had no idea of going quietly into the night. By 2025 early, both women had reached their limit. They had witnessed how Kody was quietly transferring ownership documents, trying to concentrate authority of the land by moving titles and papers in their backs. What was originally described as a family property was now being reshaped to benefit Kody, and naturally Robyn. But Meri and Janelle weren't about to let Kody rewrite the history of ownership at Coyote Pass. They both lawyered up, girding for a legal fight that would question not just Kody's moves but also decades of emotional bench. This wasn't merely a land dispute. For Janelle and Meri, it was a matter of pride. Coyote Pass represented years of vows Kody had promised to uphold the family unit, vows that had become ashes. By attempting to quietly transfer ownership to himself and Robyn, Kody wasn't stealing land, he was stealing their interest in the family legacy. Their lawyers acted quickly, filing suits charging Kody with fraudulent conveyance, a fancy legal phrase meaning secretly passing property from one's hands to prevent its sharing in times of conflict. Court papers detailed how Kody had employed trust contracts and quiet title proceedings to move Robyn into position of first co-owner, slowly eliminating Meri and Janelle from the record. The courts did not react lightly to this. The presiding judge did see an obvious trend of manipulation. Kody's defense that he was just trying to more efficiently organize the land failed under question. The judge said the moving of property papers without Meri and Janelle's permission constituted a breach of trust and a possible violation of equitable distribution statute, particularly with the polygamous family setup where financial commitments were made to all wives as. In April 2025, the court acted decisive. A settlement was reached that compelled Kody to redivide the parcels of land, restoring Meri and Janelle to their rightful owners. According to the settlement, Kody and Robyn were given dominion over only one part of Coyote Pass, while Meri and Janelle recovered their promised land. Christine's $10 bargain was legally valid, but the court kept Kody from using that deal to further concentrate power. For Meri, this was a breakthrough. She had been the quiet, obedient first wife for so many years, usually relegated to the sidelines in favor of newer attachments. But now, sitting in court, she was no longer the supporting actress. She was a woman demanding what was hers, standing up to the man who had controlled the terms of their family equation for so long. Janelle, practical and financially minded wife that she wasn't merely fighting over land. She was fighting for the future of her children. For years, Janelle had poured her heart and wallet into the Coyote Pass dream, even living in an RV on the property when money was tight. Seeing Kody try to wipe out her sacrifice with some legal papers was the last straw. Their courtroom win wasn't merely about property boundaries. It was an emphatic message. Meri and Janelle sent Kody a resounding message. No further manipulation. No further behind-the-scenes maneuver. No further erasing us from the family history. The fallout from the settlement was a public relations nightmare for Robyn and Kody. Fans, still in shock over Christine's bombshell lawsuit, viewed this as just another instance of Kody's constant favorite. Social media exploded with hashtags such as #CoyotePassJustice and #Meri and Janelle Fight Back, making the court case a rallying point for fans who had watched Meri and Janelle quietly suffer for. Kody's efforts to minimize the circumstances in interviews just turned the situation. His misunderstandings and paperwork mistakes sounded forced to present court papers that charted deliberate property transfer. For others, this was the ultimate proof that Kody's family unity concept was a sham when it involved finances. Robyn also could not conceal herself behind the normal alibis. Her name was on the document. The court asked her directly about her participation in title conveyance. Her media persona as the reluctant favorite was destroyed when it became apparent that she was a willing participant in Kody's scheme to consolidate. What Kody and Robyn had not counted on was the strength of the bond between Meri and Janelle. For years, their relationship had been strained because of the competitive dynamics of their plural marriage. But Kody's betrayal did something that no one could have predicted. It united them. No longer competing for Kody's attention, they became allies in keeping him in check.
Their victory in court also established precedent for polygamous families locked in similar battles. Legal experts observed that the Coyote Pass settlement would make waves in future cases of property division plural marriage. The court's acknowledgement of promises made orally, emotional investment, and fair treatment given to all of the spouses was considered a landmark. Internally, the Brown family unit also broke down. Kody, always the self-glue that kept them all together, now found himself alone. His kids, witnessing the pain brought upon their mother, distanced themselves from him as well. Family events were now tense, with Meri, Janelle and Christine enjoying their newfound camaraderie, while Kody and Robyn were holed up in their a mansion that ironically was now a symbol of their financially speaking, Kody's empire was hemorrhaging. The legal bills added to the frozen funds and growing public attention made it difficult for his grand ideas to materialize. His dream of a centralized compound family life had evaporated into court-mandated land and that put him in fewer assets or friends. But for Meri and Janelle, it was not simply a win against property. It was a retrieval of dignity, autonomy, and the freedom to determine their own destiny. For years they had lived at Kody's mercy, with promises made and ignored, sacrifices counted, and favoritism that governed every significant decision. Now having the court on their side, they had commandeered their stories. The Coyote Pass land war was not merely a battle over dirt, and yet it was most certainly a battle over respect, recognition, and the ability to not be erased. And Meri and Janelle ensured that Kody knew his days of behind him. If you believed that Kody Brown's legal issues couldn't possibly get any worse, buckle up, because that's where the scandal goes from bad to disaster. In defiance of court injunction his asset, in the face of continued lawsuits former wives, and amidst the media frenzy surrounding the collapse of his crumbling family fortune, Kody Brown did something so brazen, so irresponsible, that it may prove to be the last nail in Coffin's erstwhile proud life. He purchased $1 million luxury estate. That's true. While Christine, Meri and Janelle were fighting him courtroom, while the courts were granting injunctions financial act, Kody and Robyn were signing documents on a massive upscale house in Flagstaff, a 6-bedroom mansion with luxury, and a view that would drop any real estate agent's jaw. But how did they manage? The answer is a web of property transactions, loan shuffling, and bold. It all started when Kody and Robyn sold their old home for 1.7. On the surface, this sale was a typical real estate transaction. But in the background, it was an important. The sale brought them a profit of $885,000, a big chunk that Kody was more than invested. Kody spent $420,000 of that profit and put it down on the rest. He took out a $1.68 million, buying the family further in debt, all around him. But here's the twist, and it's a doozy. This whole property deal was conducted after Christine had her court injunction. That injunction legally Kody's freedom to move family and sell off properties or make large purchases on ice without court approval. And still, Kody and Robyn proceeded with the buyout, as if the court order concerned. That's when it got out of court papers subsequently emerging that Kody and Robyn's actions were a deliberate attempt to circumvent legal. They were accused of redirecting collective family, one which was made with specific and excluding Christine and most critical, their own financial. For years Kody had successfully outmaneuvered and backroom, persuading them to have faith in, but in a court was rationalization, judges direct. The deal wasn't a bad choice. It was a possible act of an outright disrespect to processes already. The judges openly questioned. They also noted that buying a valuable asset midst of a could be seen as a move to protect assets from fair division. This wasn't about a house. This was about Kody trying to tie down family funds into an asset his ex-wives couldn't access. Even Robyn, who had skillfully dodged straight attacks for years, could not escape this time. The court picked apart her financial statement, finding inconsistencies and gaps that told a tale of intentional misrepresentation. Robyn was embarrassed in court over her involvement in the facilitation of the mansion purchase, charged with knowingly being involved in a scheme to remove the other wives from the family's financial story. For a woman who had so long been characterized as the innocent favorite, this was a cruel fall from grace. Public outcry was swift and merciless. Fans who had grown discontent with Kody's years of favoritism towards Robyn viewed this mansion debacle as the final straw. Social media was abuzz with hashtags such as #MansionGate, #Kody and Robyn exposed, and #greed over family. Even former fans came against them, citing the hypocrisy of their extravagance, while Meri and Janelle continued to struggle for their rightful property. News media jumped on the story and made Kody and Robyn's mansion a symbol of their alienation. The $2.1 million estate, which had been supposed to be their sanctuary, was now their fortress of notoriety, encircled by lawsuits, public outcry, and a broken family that wanted nothing with them. Financial analysts chimed in, asking how Kody was able to get such a huge loan in the middle of all his legal issues. Speculations varied from secret business ventures to potential undisclosed assets. Each one, analysts noted that borrowing a $1.68 million loan, much less with his disintegrating family life and frozen assets, was not only risky, it was bordering on financial. But for Kody, this mansion wasn't. It was his stand. A last-ditch effort to to build a kingdom for himself and Robyn where he and she rule supreme without any interference from her wives. But rather than a palace, it became a public shrine to. The legal fallout took little time to. Christine's lawyers filed contempt of court motions against Kody. Meri and Janelle's lawyers also followed suit, claiming that the purchase of the mansion was a calculated effort to water down the collective assets. The courts took their cue by mandating a full financial audit, subjecting Kody and Robyn's entire portfolio to legal scrutiny. As the investigations went on, more disturbing facts came out. The paper trail indicated hasty transactions, hasty signatures, and property transfers outside normal procedures. It was evident that Kody and Robyn had attempted to outrun the courts, rushing the mansion sale before the legal system could catch up. But the courts did catch up. And now that $2.1 million mansion is frozen, not metaphorically, but legally. Court orders have prevented any other transactions on the property. Kody and Robyn can't refinance, sell, or use the mansion as collateral. What was intended as a sanctuary has turned into a legal liability, a time bomb waiting to go off as the court cases move forward. Behind closed doors, insiders say tension between Kody and Robyn is growing. The financial stress, negative media attention, and increasing distance from Kody's older children have created a tense atmosphere within their lavish property. Robyn, the once tranquil anchor of Kody's troubled universe, is said to be wondering how they managed to become so alone, so demonized. But for Meri, Christine, and Janelle, however, the mansion scandal proved vindication. It was flesh and blood evidence of Kody's manipulative ways, his tendency to put personal interests ahead of family cohesion. Their court wins were now more than mere legal victories. Now they were a public vindication of Kody's leadership failure. Sister Wives fans, who had watched the family for more than a decade, now witnessed the dynasty that Kody had created in shambles in real time. The vision of the visionary patriarch had given way to the reality of a desperate man trying to keep power, even if it was by burning bridges behind him. The $2.1 million estate, that was meant to be a beacon of achievement, has also become the most outward face of Kody and Robyn's collapse. All the headlines, all the court news, all the trending tweets lead back to that house, a monument to greed, lies, and the end result of betrayal. And as the courtroom wars continue, there's one fact that won't be shaken. Kody and Robyn's so-called dream home is now no longer a site of triumph. It's the very deal that could implode them. Nowadays, the consequences of Kody Brown's actions are no longer a domestic family affair. It's a public spectacle playing out in real time for the entire world to see. The fellow who once served as the face of polygamy in America, proudly displaying his big happy family to the masses on national TV, is now submerged in legal battles, financial travesties, and an avalanche of public outrage that shows exactly how far he's lost his way. This isn't about lawsuits, it's about a legacy disintegrating. Kody's empire, one that was initially supported by the virtues of oneness, love, and communality of responsibility, has been revealed to be a house of cards fabricated on manipulation, partiality, and financial domination. And now, the very wives who stood by his side previously, Christine, Meri, and Janelle, are not even willing to play according to his book. They are not sister wives any longer. They are strong women, each asserting their rights, their dignity, and their portion of a family heritage that Kody and Robyn attempted to appropriate for themselves. Christine's bombshell in court was perhaps the initial catalyst, but it led to a wildfire that Meri and Janelle added fuel to by their respective legal battles. Together, they've stripped away Kody's fantasy of domination. From being a guy at the helm of a polygamist household, he's now a defendant, trying to justify his dubious fiscal choices before judges who are no longer impressed with his charm or explanation. And Robyn,
For years, Robyn Brown had avoided the brunt of the criticism. Fans argued her position in the family dynamics, frequently calling her Kody's favorite, but many continued to give her the benefit of the doubt. She was the quiet, sensitive wife who wanted only peace. Those days are over. With court filings revealing her participation in dubious real estate transactions, deceitful financial statements, and the notorious $2.1 million mansion buy, Robyn's untouchable position is in tatters. She is no longer the helpless onlooker. She's now viewed as a willing participant in Kody's efforts to funnel family wealth into their sole control. Judges themselves have expressly questioned Robyn's involvement, examining her signatures on land transfers, and embarrassing her over her involvement in financial actions, which aim to exclude Christine, Meri, and Janelle. The media has also done this, portraying Robyn as not merely a passive player, but as an active player in the family's financial collapse. What Kody and Robyn might not have realized is that this courtroom drama isn't about a fight for money or property, it's about betrayal, truth, and the aftermath of a decade of manipulation. For over a decade, audiences watched as Kody's favoritism towards Robyn unfolded on screen. They saw Christine's heartbreak, Janelle's frustration, and Meri's isolation. But in the world of reality TV, such dynamics were often brushed off as family drama. Now, in the cold, unfiltered light of courtrooms and legal documents, these dynamics are being re-evaluated as patterns of control and emotional exploitation. Kody and Robyn's mansion, the crown jewel of their alleged success, is now the ultimate reminder of their loneliness. It's a huge house with luxury amenities and stunning views, but inside its walls, it's only the two of them, enveloped not in family love, but lawsuits, media attention, and an increasing feeling of abandonment. The big family reunions are a thing of the past. Kody's older kids have drifted away, disillusioned by his obvious favoritism and hurt heaped on their mothers. Family gatherings that once necessitated giant backyard tents now are little splintered meetups, if they occur at all. Christine, Meri, and Janelle, however, are flourishing beyond the shadow of Kody. Christine has established a new life that is filled with autonomy, public acceptance, and a rebuilt sense of self-worth. Meri, trapped in the sad cycle of emotional abandonment, has come into her own power, accepting her uniqueness and seizing control of her financial future. Janelle, the no-nonsense, practical wife, has emerged as a beacon of strength, teaching viewers what it takes to fight back with strength and resilience. Their solidarity in this legal fight has not only restored their rights, but has also rewritten their identities beyond their status as sister wives. They are no longer a group of women held together by a common husband, they are women who've pushed back against a controlling system and insisted on being seen, heard, and respected. Kody, though, is stuck. The harder he works to justify his actions, the further into the hole he goes. His attempts to position the court fights as misconceptions or blown out of proportion disputes are ignored. The courts are working with facts, bank records, deed titles, and legal agreements, not with emotional stories. In public, his reputation is in shambles. Social media, previously abuzz with arguments about Kody's parenting skills or family decisions, is now all aflutter with outrage, memes, and hashtags such as #Kody on trial, #Robyn exposed, and #Sister Wives Revenge. With each court judgment, with each new revelation, the public's disillusionment with the man who previously boasted about being the leader of a polygamous family mounts. And the legacy Kody can't shake is this: for years he established a public reputation based on the values of family togetherness, but behind closed doors, his behavior tore the very fabric he purported to safeguard. Now, those tears are revealed, and no amount of PR or TV magic can stick them back together. Financially, Kody's empire is hemorrhaging, assets frozen, legal bills piling up, and his mansion stuck in a court fight. The former vision-driven patriarch is seeing his kingdom crumble day by day. The Coyote Pass property, symbolizing what once was a united family, now a fragmented property, mirroring the actual state of his relationships. For Robyn, being the peacemaker has evolved into that of a conspirator. From a tearful soul who cried over family divisions, she is now being accused of abetting and being part of what destroyed the family. The dichotomy between Kody and his former wives has never been more evident. While Christine, Meri, and Janelle press on, starting companies, earning public respect and starting anew, Kody and Robyn are stuck in a cycle of court battles and public reproach. Ultimately, Kody's defeat isn't merely about real estate lawsuits or courtroom defeats. It's about a man who couldn't realize leadership means being fair, respectful, and selfless. It's about a family that poured everything into a collective dream, only to be betrayed by the person who was meant to defend it. The legacy Kody can't escape is not the one he envisioned. It's not the image of a proud polygamist father, leading a large, happy family into a shared future. It's the legacy of a man who let favoritism, control, and greed dismantle everything he built. And now, as legal wars rage on, Kody and Robyn are left with a mansion that is more like a gilded cage, a chill, lonely reminder of the family they lost, the trust they destroyed, and the empire that collapsed beneath the weight of their own decisions.